Alright, so just earlier today, a new trailer for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie released with a bunch of new footage, so I'll be going through the whole trailer and I'll be pointing out any references and interesting things I find. Let's get into it. Alright, so here in the top left, there's two papers on the wall. These look like some sort of certificates. The one on the left has some sort of black circle with like some colored shapes on it. I can't tell what either of these say or if they reference anything specific from the games, but there are certificates in Pizzeria Simulator, but these do look a bit different, so I'm not really sure what these are. On top of the monitors, you can see an old alarm clock. This references the time mechanic in the games, of course, at least most likely, that's what I think. And this more resembles the digital alarm clock you see in Fnaf 4, instead of like the clock chimes in the other games. And the numbers on this clock are a lot smaller than in the one in Fnaf 4, so maybe just because, it's more realistic, obviously this is an actual alarm clock. And if you look closely, you can also make out the numbers 1:31 a.m., obviously, because it's a night shift. That means that's the current time in this scene, which is also interesting because the clocks in the games, they only change every hour, so you wouldn't see 1:31 a.m., you just say 1 to 2 a.m. And this alarm clock looks like it's from the 80s, quite old for sure, and based off the white logo, it's pixelated and it's blurry, but I think this might be the Panasonic brand. Specifically, I think it might be this listing I found on eBay. It looks quite similar, a little bit different, but I think that might be it. And to the right of the numbers, there's like a little thing that looks like it might be a radio tuner, and there's also a knob on the side, and there's something on top there, which is similar to some radios I found on Google Images. So, on top of the large monitor, there's two VHS tapes. This might be a reference to, the FNAF VHS tape, like Analog Horror series online, or it's just VHS tapes, doesn't really mean much, but yeah. On the TV that is off to the right, there's two lights reflecting back for some reason. This almost looks like it could be from like an animatronic standing nearby, and this would be their eyes reflecting. I'm not really sure why they would be in this scene though, and I guess it could also be like a light indicating the monitor's plugged in, but not on, but for some reason the red dot is really large, so that's kind of weird. Next to the small monitors is the desk fan, of course, from like nearly every FNAF game, and the phone where, the phone guy calls, very obvious references. The cup on the desk here, the exact same design as the cup on the desk in FNAF 1, and the crumpled aluminum foil also exactly matches the foil next to the cup on the desk in FNAF 1. The device in the middle of the desk right here, this is actually a Pelco CM9760KBD intelligent keyboard. I looked up, and this is apparently a full functional desktop keyboard that allows you to control matrix systems, whatever that means. It has a variable speed joystick with a zoom control knob for pan, tilt, and zoom dome control, and 24 programmable soft keys. And I think this is very likely the device that's actually used to switch between the monitors or interact with the monitors in some way, and there's a walkie-talkie next to it. Finally, let's actually look at the screens on the monitors. So on the first small monitor, we can see Bonnie and Chica, and I'm pretty sure Freddy is there but slightly off screen. This looks like the main stage, of course, from FNAF 1. The monitor to the right of that is showing somewhere indoors, possibly the parts and service room, but I'm not sure. The next one, this is showing outside the building. We see a wall. Then on the bottom, this first one looks like just tables inside the restaurant, then outside in front of the restaurant, and then Pirate's Cove. And then the big monitor on the right, this is showing both the left and right hallways, along with Pirate Cove again for some reason. I'm not sure why that's shown twice. Then, finally to the right, underneath the monitor that's off there, is a VHS tape that's labeled Mike on top of a VHS player, with two VHS tapes to the left and many more underneath. The tape labeled Mike was probably left there for him to play as an introduction to Freddy Fast Food Pizza, like the introduction video we saw in another trailer. Here we get a close-up of some of the monitors. So here we see the tables closer, but this looks like a different angle from the shot before this, so maybe he can move the cameras, I guess. Some of the chairs are on the tables like someone was cleaning up but didn't finish. And then the monitor to the right is now showing a hallway, which is odd since previously it was showing outside of the restaurant. And then here in this shot, it looks like a different area again, so I don't know why that's changing. That's kind of weird, but yeah. And then this one here, we see Foxy's Cove, close up, with the curtains closed, of course. There's some light bulbs there in the bottom, and it looks like guitar amps or something in the chair next to the stage on the floor for some reason. In the back, you can see a pinball machine, and there's posters above it too. The poster right above it, it's hard to make out, but it looks like a character holding a microphone with their other arm out. I'm guessing this is probably Freddy, because that's kind of how he stands in the celebration poster in FNAF 1. Although I also thought it might be Foxy, because the head is kind of triangular shaped, so I'm not sure. It's too blurry to really make out. Next, here we see the left hallway. There's a few doors and there's several posters on the wall. They're just too blurry to see, though. On the left, this is probably the Employee of the Month sign that we saw in the other trailer in the background. And then next up here, we see the same shot we saw in another trailer of several people breaking into the restaurant by prying open the garage door with a crowbar. So, the characters here from left to right. So first is Carl, who's wearing a Midnight Motorist shirt, which is a reference to the minigame from Pizzeria Simulator. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's like a meta thing. Probably just a reference, but interesting. And then there's Hank, who has been speculated to be the film version of Henry Emily. Of course, has a lot to do with Fnaf lore. And just due to their similar appearance and the fact the name Hank could be a possible nickname for the name Henry, the one with the crowbar is unknown as far as I know. They don't have a name yet. And then the one on the right by the truck is named Maxine. Here we get to see the kitchen, which is cool since we haven't really seen the kitchen before in games, I guess besides Security Breach, but, you know, the audio-only cameras, especially in the first game, you can't actually see the kitchen, you can only hear it. So there's really nothing to see here right now besides some pizza boxes and some kitchen supplies. And then these people that we saw before, they're breaking into and destroying and looting the place. This guy here, he's breaking into the change machine to steal all the quarters. Behind him on the left, there's some sort of arcade cabinet that has a bunch of cobwebs on it. Right here, Hank is smashing the glass on the prize counter. In the back, there's a toy space shuttle ride. This looks like something you see at Chuck E. Cheese. There's a note on the counter here that says, "Let's eat," and then something else under it. I can't really quite make out, but it says, "Let's eat something." I don't know. And then there's also a bunch of like tickets left on the counter. The prices, I can't really tell what they are because, again, it's too hard to tell with zooming in. Not good enough quality. On the side, there's a whole bunch of different candy bags. I'm not sure what brands these are either. But there's also two small party hats on top of the glass. In the back, there's like a yellow t-shirt. There's lots of plastic toys and masks on the shelf. Some are animals, some are the animatronics. There's a big pile of tickets here. And then above that, there's a few shelves that really closely resembles the prize corner in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, along with the glass prize displays also looking similar to the prize corner. And then pretty much all the plushies that are left here that I see is a Bonnie plush, and above it off screen looks like it might be a Freddy plush, but we can't fully see it. In this shot, we see these pinball machines up close. This first one is called Genie, which was released in 1979. The second one is called King Cool, which was released in 1972. And then this third one here is called Card Whiz, which was released in 1976. Interestingly enough, all of these were released by the company called Gottlieb. It might be pronounced wrong, but Gottlieb, yeah. This here, I don't really know what this is called, but it looks like some sort of old toy dispenser, like machines, probably from the 70s or 80s. This dispenses toys in little bubble capsules you see in like dentist's office and stuff now. And the machine next to it seems to be like another change machine, but smaller. Here in the pizza boxes, we see the Freddy Fazbear's logo and the slogan, which looks like fresh oven baked, on the pizza boxes up close here as, of course, Carl knocks them over. Then Carl hears noises from the fridge, but opens it and nothing is there. And when he looks back, he sees Chica offering him her cupcake. This is just a great-looking animatronic, by the way. They all look great, honestly. This is similar to Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where Chica holds her cupcake out in a tray on stage. And, of course, if you've seen the trailer, the cupcake jumps out and attacks Carl, tries to eat his face, and this is really similar to how the cupcake can jump scare you and kill you in Fnaf 4 if Chica gets in your room. Then we've also seen this before, but of course the outline above the closed sign, this closely resembles the restaurant logo we see afterwards. It was probably just removed, it's a defunct restaurant, all that. And then the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza sign here, this kind of resembles like old Chuck E. Cheese signs on their restaurants. It's a similar design, which I think is a good thing because it's supposed to match that kind of style, and it does. And this car here, I think, is a Honda Accord. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. So when Mike and Abby enter the restaurant, it's really trash. So this is definitely sometime after those other people broke in and destroyed everything. I'm not sure how much time difference that is, but maybe not too big. There's chairs scattered throughout. There's a change machine, the broken toy capsules on the floor like we saw earlier for that machine that gave them out. There's also a poster up above near Mike, and this looks like a poster of Spring Bonnie, which is interesting. Here, of course, Mike turns on the power, the sign, the whole place lights up, and then animatronics turn on. And then in this next shot, again, we've seen this before, but this is William Afton. He's taken on the alias of Steve Raglan, who's a career counselor. We also see him later in his Spring Bonnie appearance, but I'll talk about that when we get there. In the background here, you can see, again, the Employees of the Month sign with several YouTubers having cameos. And this is the same desk we saw earlier from basically the one from FNAF 1, but now you can see the Celebrate poster on the wall from FNAF 1. Here in the back, you can see several more pinball machines. These seem to be working, so I guess they're not the ones that were smashed before because they lit up, so yeah. And in the back, this also looks like skee ball near the change machine. Next to Abby, you can actually see a stained glass picture of Foxy there, and she looks inside of Pirate's Cove, and a pair of eyes light up to look at her. Kind of creepy. And this looks like Bonnie's eyes, because Foxy, of course, has an eye patch, and the space there looks like Bonnie's nose, which you obviously can't see because you can see the eyes, so pretty sure that is Bonnie. For some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but right now I just think this is probably a reference to how Bonnie and Foxy share Pirate's Cove and Ultimate Custom Night, so maybe there's another reason for that, I'm not sure yet. Here we see a new poster of the main cast, we haven't seen this before. And then here, Mike meets up with Vanessa. This is a different Vanessa than the one in Security Breach. Kind of confusing, I know. According to her description, Vanessa is a police officer who shows up during one of Mike's work shifts, and while leading with a bright and sunny disposition, Vanessa has a keen understanding of the dark history and inner workings of the restaurant. Not wanting to reveal too much of what she may know, she works to help Mike survive the night. So clearly, she has some backstory, something to do with this, so she must be an important character. Strangely, on the desk here, it looks like there's some bloody napkins or tissues. I'm not really sure why. Maybe Vanessa got injured recently. Maybe there was the animatronics did something to her. I don't know why it would still be on the desk, but it is. This Showtime button, I looked up, and this is actually similar to Fnaf VR, or Help Wanted. Originally, when the player collected all 30 fast coins, you could press the Showtime button and you could watch the animatronics perform an original song. The song was cut before the game came out, but the song was still in the files, and you can look that up on YouTube. I'll probably put in the clip here. But it is odd. We've never really seen them perform, because that's kind of the main thing they do, just like Chuck E. Cheese. That's what they're supposed to do, not kill people, but we probably will in this movie, and we do a little bit in the trailer here. Foxy honestly looks really great here, very close in design to FNAF 1. He's partially torn and under maintenance. We see the other animatronics too, and they're all really well designed and closely textured too. These pinball machines here we see, they're probably the same ones we saw before, so they've probably been here all this time. And then there's the Centipede arcade cabinet too, which was released in 1981. And next to it, there's an arcade game with a red gun controller connected to it. I'm not sure what game this is, but a lot of arcade games have gun controllers like this. Interesting, when it changes back to modern times, in the static you can really briefly see Freddy for a few frames. This is pretty similar to the It's Me jump scare, not really jump scare, but it shows up sometimes in FNAF 1, so that's an interesting reference. Here, when Mike is looking around, you can actually just see Freddy right behind him very briefly before the scene cuts, so that's not good for Mike. There's another scene we've seen before, but I'll go over it real quick anyway. So there's several kids, these are representing the different animatronics. So I'll go over each one and which animatronic they represent. Correct me if I get any of these wrong. Hopefully I didn't. So from left to right is Jeremy, who possesses Bonnie, Gabriel for Freddy, Fritz for Foxy. Then behind Mike is an unnamed child, or this might be Cassidy, I don't know, for Golden Freddy. And then to the right is Susie for Chica. Here we see another poster in the back. This is probably Freddy. And this is another scene we've seen partially in trailers before, but we see someone get strapped into a chair and they can't move. It's probably not Mike. And in the next part here, it looks like an animatronic mask is being placed on him with spikes about to destroy his face, like some sort of trap. But it's clearly not Mike when you look at this, so maybe this is some sort of dream sequence as well. Maybe there's someone else. I don't know. And the Kids in the Forest scene could be a dream sequence too, because that is kind of out of place and weird. Some people speculated that, but I don't really know yet. This part here, there's a different kid with a yellow shirt on for some reason who runs away, and then suddenly Freddy appears in the parts and service room. I think that's what this is. And then to the left of Freddy, interestingly enough, a very, very large pair of animatronic eyes, bigger than any of the eyes they have, so that is weird. And then in the next part, Maxine gets a chair to try and see inside Freddy because that kid disappeared. Suddenly a hand comes out. It's very likely this is the same kid from before. Either he got possessed or killed by Freddy. I'm not sure why it's a different kid from that forest scene, but I guess we'll find out. Foxy, he peeks out of the curtain here, similar to FNAF 1, of course. Again, great looking animatronic. This another thing we saw in the other trailer, but the YouTuber Corey X Kenshin, who has made a lot of FNAF content. I do not watch him, but I've heard about that. And he has a cameo here. Not sure if he'll have a bigger role. Again, it's another thing we just have to wait and see, but very interesting that, some YouTubers made cameos. Hopefully some others, Markiplier, like Matt Pat, would be nice to see them, but I don't know. And in the back of the truck, for some reason, both Freddy and Abby are in his car. Not really sure why they're together. Freddy looks partially broken now too, like one of his eyes just gone. And Abby's in there. Something must have happened. I don't know. Very interesting. Here, this animatronic that is crushing balls from the ball pit. This is probably Foxy, but I'm not really sure. It's unclear, but it looks like Foxy from the feet. Here, I think this is Vanessa again, possibly being choked by Spring Bonnie, as maybe she works for him or something. I think they have some sort of connection, for sure. Here we see Abby hiding by the centipede cabinet. Again, we see that centipede cabinet. Very cool to see retro arcade games, but that's besides the point. Foxy, of course, is hunting her down. Very scary, at least for her. Here we see Foxy running down the hallway, just like Fnaf 1. This looks great. It looks like he might be, like, skating, or like they're pushing him forward, because I guess that makes sense. It's easier than somehow getting his arms to move while running, but this looks really good, and it was really unexpected to see in the trailer, but it's cool. Here, Mike's crawling through and out of some vent into somewhere. Kind of like the vents in FNAF 2 and other games. Not really sure where he's crawling, though. And then here, there's some different kid running away from something. I think this might be Garrett, who, according to the FNAF Wiki, is Mike's younger brother who disappeared a decade before the events of the movie, and this might be a flashback of what happened to him or something. Then finally, towards almost the end of this trailer, we get the massive reveal, Spring Bonnie, aka William Afton, chasing after Mike. This is really well designed, and seems that this will be an intense and important scene. And you can also see he takes out a knife in the next shot, trying to kill Mike. Very interesting. I wonder if he's going to turn into Springtrap in the movie, like, FNAF 2/FNAF 3, where he gets trapped in the Springlock suit and of course turns into Springtrap and bleeds out and all that stuff. FNAF lore, we'll have to see if that happens. It's very interesting they're already showing Spring Bonnie / Springtrap. Honestly, it's something they really could have saved, but like, it's really exciting to see for sure. So yeah, that is everything for this trailer. I gotta say, it was a great trailer. It showed up quite a lot, even though it was just under 2 minutes. Had a lot more references and interesting things than I would have first expected when I first watched it. And they did reuse some footage that they've shown before, but I think that's good because they really shouldn't show too much. Some movies really do that, and it's better just to save it more for the full movie. So yeah, I'm really excited for this movie. I can't wait, honestly. And let me know if there's anything I missed in this. Comment your opinion on this trailer as well, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.